Modern neuroscience reveals that the so-called brain freeze pattern is not just a metaphor but a measurable neurological shutdown. When the mind perceives cognitive overload, it triggers a silent emergency protocol that suspends higher reasoning functions in favor of primitive survival responses. You may think you are overthinking, but in truth, the brain is pulling the emergency brake, creating a sudden emptiness that feels like your mind vanished for a moment. This blackout is not harmless. Repeated episodes condition the mind to avoid complex reasoning altogether. The most disturbing aspect is that this freeze response often appears during choices that matter the most. Instead of approaching the situation with deliberate clarity, the mind collapses into a blank internal screen, pushing you toward impulsive decisions. Cognitive researchers have documented that this mental paralysis mimics the early stages of dissociation. Reality feels distant, thoughts drift out of reach, and the brain behaves as if it's trying to teleport away. The shocking discovery is that it can occur even during simple decisions, such as choosing what to say in a conversation. Another alarming feature is how this freeze pattern hijacks the language center. When the phenomenon activates, the brain temporarily loses access to its vocabulary pool, which explains why people stutter, mix words or go silent despite knowing exactly what they want to say. In these moments, the mind feels locked out of its own library. Many individuals mistake this for shyness or lack of intelligence, while the true cause is a neurobiological traffic jam that halts linguistic access. This pattern becomes more severe in environments with constant stimulation. Notifications, interruptions, and multitasking create rapid-fire microdemands that never allow the brain to reset. As a result, your internal processor overheats and triggers protective shutdowns. People who experience frequent mental blankness often live in high-distraction surroundings, where the brain never finds a moment to rebuild coherence. This chronic clutter rewrites neural pathways and sets the freeze reaction as the default response. The freeze pattern also manipulates time perception. During an episode, the passage of time feels distorted, seconds stretch into minutes while minutes collapse into seconds. This distortion increases stress, convincing the brain that it is failing under pressure, which in turn deepens the paralysis. The mind enters a feedback loop where the fear of freezing becomes the trigger for further freezing. This cycle can persist for years without a person ever understanding what is happening inside their own mental machinery. What may surprise you is that this phenomenon intensifies with what psychologists call false urgency. When the brain senses rapid expectation, a question asked too quickly, a deadline approaching too fast, a person waiting for your answer, it interprets the moment as a threat. Instead of sharpening focus, the brain floods the system with cortisol and shuts down deliberate reasoning. This is why even highly intelligent individuals can suddenly feel incompetent in stressful or unpredictable situations. One of the most unsettling insights is that the freeze pattern can masquerade as rational thought. Instead of recognizing the paralysis, the mind creates convincing excuses: I need more time, I'm not ready, or I'll do it tomorrow. These explanations feel genuine, but they are camouflage for neurological avoidance. The brain is not thinking, it is stalling. The sophistication of these excuses makes the freeze pattern especially dangerous because it hides behind logic. Technology amplifies this mental collapse far more than people realize. Constant switching between apps, windows, and tasks trains the mind to expect interruption every few seconds. With no uninterrupted cognitive flow, deeper reasoning becomes a rare event. The brain loses the capacity to sustain structure, and in moments requiring actual thought, it defaults to the familiar freeze. Digital culture has unknowingly created a generation that struggles to think without friction. This freeze phenomenon is also influenced by unprocessed emotions. When the brain detects even a faint echo of shame, guilt, or fear, it may activate the paralysis to prevent further discomfort. The mind doesn't freeze because the moment is complex, it freezes because the emotional landscape beneath the surface is overwhelming. People often believe they lack discipline, when in reality they are attempting to navigate thought paths cluttered with unresolved emotional debris. Perhaps the most shocking conclusion from current research is that the freeze pattern is not a malfunction, it is an outdated evolutionary mechanism. The brain was designed to shut down unnecessary processes during imminent danger. In modern life, that danger has transformed into emails, social pressure, deadlines, and digital noise. The result is a mind that repeatedly enters survival mode in situations that require reflective thinking. Understanding this hidden mechanism is the first step toward reclaiming your cognitive clarity from an ancient system that no longer serves your daily reality.